All right, we are back. It's Derby time, which gives us a chance to talk about horse racing and Jack's outfit. You're going to want to see that as well. Beat the Odds starts right now.
From our Las Vegas studios, this is Beat the Odds,
sponsored by Superbook at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, and powered by Sports Grid.
You and Jack coordinate today?
No, but I will say this is one of my favorite outfits that he's worn. So
okay, all right. Well, we'll
for
get
once, I'm on his side.
For once, exactly. Hey, welcome inside our Las Vegas studio, and welcome to Beat the Odds. I'm Dave Hall.
And I'm Mariah Janos. Between the fancy hats, mint juleps, and fun parties, Derby weekend is always a good time.
And you know what can make it a little better? How about cashing some of those tickets, right? Teddy and Jack are here with everything you need to know.
Yes, and our friends from Sports Grid are joining us as well.
Hey Vegas, we're excited to beat the odds with you guys again. Coming up, we're talking to David Aragona to get his Derby insight. So sit back and we'll join you in just a bit. Now, Teddy, Mariah, Fat Jack, and Dave, back to you.
All right, look forward to it. Coming up as well, Jack and Teddy will tell us why the long shots could be your best shots and why post position has historically been very telling in this race.
Plus, our friends from Louisville, Kentucky join us to give us the breakdown on the race. Dave, take it away.
All right, and back with the fellas.
I go on in Louisville, and it's not Louisville, Louisville.
Louisville.
It's one syllable, I think. By the way, the outfit requires explanation. This is what a jockey would wear. Actually, I'm a jockey that ate another jockey. But if you had like puffy sleeves going, boom, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
See? That's domination. So it's Derby. I love the Derby. Lots of fun. Got to reset your mindset for this race versus what you would do in football or basketball, at least in my opinion. You got to look at it totally different because, as you mentioned, long shots will rule the day a lot of times.
Yeah. All right, Teddy, do you want to also pretend to be a jockey? Or
I want to pretend to be a jockey that ate another jockey. Okay. Not so much. Let's talk about some of the differences between horse racing and betting on sports. And it really starts with this. Horse racing takes their money off the top. They can never lose. It's a fixed percentage for their hold. Books can lose on sports betting any given day. They'll make more when the public loses. The horse racing guys don't care. Sports betting odds can change. You can get the best of the number. If you get a +1 and the game closes -1, you got the best of the number. Mathematically superior. But everybody gets the same odds in racing. Whatever the closing numbers are is what they are. So that's two key differences from sports betting to horse racing.
Yeah, so pari-mutuel is basically if all of us, including the Sports Grid guys, all threw our money in and we decided, all right, I like the 2 and you like the 4 and I like the 5, the payouts would be different based on who liked that horse the most. And then track takes it right off the top and then they disperse it out. So in this race in particular, that's important because you get a lot of long shots. These are 3-year-old animals. People don't know exactly what they're going to do. And so you're going to get some of these longer shots that are going to pay a lot of money if you can figure out which of those are going to get across the line first.
Can I just button this up a little?
I was going to show
There's
some stuff off for later.
a little too much hanging out there.
I was going to show it off. I thought there were ladies out there might want to see something, so maybe not.
They're definitely seeing something. All right, you guys hang tight. We're just getting started with you two. You better believe sports books here in Vegas are pumped up for the Derby. It's a huge event. Mariah is at the Superbook Westgate Las Vegas earlier this week with more on that.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with the Executive Director of Race and Sport here at the Westgate. John Murray. John, the Derby is here. Just how big of a betting event is this?
It's definitely the biggest betting event we have the rest of the year. After the big game in February and the big basketball tournament in March, maybe it's the 3rd biggest event of the year, and it's going to carry us until football starts back up in September.
And what are some approaches to take when betting this race?
I don't know if I'm the right guy to ask that question to, but I know there's a lot of money in the pool. There's a lot of money in the trifecta. There's a lot of money in the superfecta. If you're looking for a big payday, try to pick horses 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4 in order. You can have a nice payday if you can do it. It's not easy.
Are there any favorites that you're hearing of right now that you guys have been writing a lot of slips on here at the book?
The favorite is a horse called Fierceness. He won a big stakes race in Florida, and he's been the favorite since then. We opened him at 7-2. He's all the way down to 2-1. We've got a lot of liability on him. And Sierra Leone is the other one. Opened him at 10-1. He's down to 3-1. We don't want to see either of the favorites win, or it'll be an ugly day for us at the Derby.
And is this like any other sport where you guys adjust the lines based on the money coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like running any other futures book. You take money on certain horses, you lower their odds, you raise the others, try to balance your books.
All right, John, thank you so much. Dave, we'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, thanks to you two. Today's theme is long shots, and here's another one. It was 1,000-to-1 long shot that Jack's then girlfriend would say yes to marrying him. And here we are. Anything can happen. Up next, the guys have some horses who you might want to look at.
Before we head to break, this year will mark the 150th Derby at Churchill Downs. But what horse won the very first Derby back in 1875? The answer after the break.
Beat the Odds is sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas
and powered by Sports Grid.
Welcome back. Before the break, we asked you, this year will mark the 150th Derby at Churchill Downs, but what horse won the very first Derby back in 1875? The answer, Aristides. The colt was jockeyed by Oliver Lewis, a 19-year-old African-American man, and trained by a former slave, Ansel Williamson. The team combined to win the very first Derby just 10 years after the end of the Civil War.
All right, if you can't beat the race, come to Vegas. You can even wear one of those goofy hats. Honestly, you'll fit right in. Nobody will even notice. Scan that QR code right there and go to our website, beattheoddstv.com. Now let's get back to it with Jack. And Jack, you're talking about how it's been a good run for the long shots.
Well, it's not just a run, Dave. Here's the deal. We've talked about pari-mutuel wagering and how that determines a lot of the effects of this race. And the other thing that's important are, why are the long shots coming in? Why is this an opportunity to get some of these longer shots? It's because betting on 3-year-old horses is a little bit like betting on 13-year-old kids. You go away for summer, you come back, you've grown 3 inches. There's a lot of growth and regression that happens from 1 month to the next this time of year. So, the last 5 years, we've had horses that have been at least 8-to-1 or better, and a lot of them really, really long shots, including 80-to-1 a few years ago. So change your mindset when you're betting this race. Longer shots will get there. A lot of these horses have no business in the race, but you'll get 20 horses or so. Post position won't have a lot to do with it, in my opinion, but what will have a lot to do, you'll have some of these horses that improve a lot from 1 month to the next and create opportunity, because the general public doesn't know who's doing that at the time.
Sure. Ted?
That being said, the number 1 position is not the position that you want to be in. The last horse from the number 1 position, Dornoch, 1986. To win the Derby. So it's been a while. That being said, last year on this show, my good friend Marco D'Angelo from Wager Talk gave us the winner as a long shot. He gave me info here today that I'm happy to share with you about some of the favorites. We'll start with the favorites. Sierra Leone, number 2, number 17, Fierceness. 2 horses that have attracted his attention. Sierra Leone, what does he say? He's a stone cold closer, a horse that if he can navigate from the number 2 position and be in front, this horse is going to not let anyone catch him down the stretch. And the other one, Fierceness, clearly the favorite. Marco says on paper the most likely winner, but some red flags worthy of concern.
And 1's been bad, 5, 10, and 15 have been good if you're looking post positions over the last 30 years or so.
All right, thanks, guys. Now let's bring in our friends from the Sports Grid, talking about 2 of the big favorites they're looking at.
The 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, the opening Saturday in May. I am Ben Stevens, pleased to be joined by David Aragona, daily racing form handicapper, to get you set for the running of the Roses here in 2024. So, David, a field of 20 at this current juncture, and the 2 betting favorites entering, Fierceness and Sierra Leone. How do you compare the 2 betting favorites as we get ready for Saturday?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion between these 2 horses, who are likely to attract most of the wagering support among these 20 runners, because they really are polar opposites. Fierceness, he's more of a front-running type. He's the kind of horse that likes to boss around the field, and he's most effective when he is sort of the big fish in a small pond. Sierra Leone, different kind of horse, a little more reliable than Fierceness because he can overcome adversity. He can make his own racing luck. He's more of a plodding running style. He goes towards the back of the pack, tries to pass them all, and he's been very reliable in his preparatory races leading up to this, whereas Fierceness can be a little bit of an all or nothing type, but when he shows up with his best race, he'll be very tough to beat.
We'll see what the closing betting odds are, but Fierceness at the moment 5-2. Sierra Leone, the second best price at 3-1. But David, you know the people out there, by the time we get to Derby Day on Saturday, we'll be looking for that longer plus money price. Any long shots in the field that catch your eye?
Yeah, I think some people are going to be intrigued by some horses coming out of some Louisiana prep races. Those would be Catching Freedom and Honor Marie, both horses that have been, I think, catching the eye in the morning with their morning trading leading up to this couple of weeks at Churchill Downs. I'm very interested in the number 11 horse, Forever Young. He is actually an invader coming in from Japan. He's raced 3 times in Japan, once in Saudi Arabia and once in Dubai. So he's had an international resume, never lost in 5 starts, sort of a new face in the mix. Not exactly sure how he compares to some others, but I think he's a horse with a lot of talent that will be heard from.
All right, David Aragona, here we are leading up to the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. Who wins the Run for the Roses? Who would get your bet to win the Kentucky Derby here in 2024?
Well, I'm a bettor. I like to look for the right price. I think Forever Young is going to be that right price, somewhere in the 8-1 to 9-1 range. Also have my eye on Honor Marie, who is another horse like Sierra Leone, likes to come from towards the back of the pack. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 12-1 to 15-1 range. So 2 bigger prices that I'll have my eye on in the Kentucky Derby.
David, thank you so much for the breakdown. Make sure you keep an eye to the exotics as well, those exactas, trifectas, and all the fun that you can have on Derby Day. David Aragona from Daily Racing Form getting you set for the 150th Kentucky Derby, the first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs.
All right, thanks, guys. Up next, Jack is going to attempt to ride Teddy. Wait, what? No, that is not going to happen. No, instead, they're going to talk about which long shots they like to potentially have the shot. They're not riding, no.
Thank God. All right, before we head to break, the first ever Triple Crown winner was Sir Barton back in 1919. Since then, just 12 horses have been able to claim the Triple Crown. But who was the last horse to win all 3 races? The answer after the break.
You're watching Beat the Odds.
Sponsored by Superbook at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. And powered by Sports Grid.
Welcome back. Before the break, we asked you the first ever Triple Crown winner was Sir Barton back in 1919. Since then, just 12 horses have been able to claim the Triple Crown. But who was the last horse to win all 3 races? The answer, Justify, who did it back in 2018. The colt swept all 3 races to become the 13th Triple Crown winner ever. Guys, over to you.
Thanks, Mariah. We've been talking a lot about long shots, which horses these guys might actually think could perhaps pull it off.
One of them probably will. Yeah. I mean, we need to change our mindset, guys. Favorites, you're not going to get good value. They're 2-1. They probably should be 5 or 6-1. They're 3-year-old animals. Look long shot. Actually, play Would You Rather. Remember that game, Would You Rather? Mm-hmm. Would you rather make out with Mike Tyson or get hit in the face by a gorilla? I mean, those type things. I mean, neither are great.
What a choice.
Neither are great. But the point is, you can play. Would you rather win 5 or 6 of the next 10 years but make $1,000, or would you rather win 3 of the next 10 years and make $2,000? Look long shots. When we're talking long shots, 3 of my 4 long shots, but the number 12 horse, Track Phantom, this is a Steve Asmussen horse. Say that 3 times fast. Had cashed on every single race this year until he got to Louisiana Derby. Louisiana Derby actually faded at the end, but don't give up on a horse because they have one bad outing. You'll see horses a lot of time that were hitting on all strides, going well, and then had one bad race. Public jumps off of them, it creates some value. Look for the 12 horse here to pick back up to his old form, hit the board someplace, and at that price, you're going to make some money.
Teddy, how about you?
Look, long shots have been cashing. We saw him aged 50-1 last year. Charismatic 31-1, Giacomo 50-1, Mind That Bird 50-1, Country House 65-1, Rich Strike 80-1. That's just in the last 25 years. All that said, I'm not convinced there's a live long shot of those prices this year. 3 that stand out. Certainly the number 4 horse, Catching Freedom, is one, and another one, number 8, Just a Touch. Number 11, Forever Young. All those horses in the 8 or 10-1 range, and all 3 of them live or longer shots than the favorites.
Rich Strike, horses like that can show you how tough this is. He wasn't even in the race until a late entry. He got added late and then won at 80-1. This is a tough race to pick, but look long shots.
Real quick, which is it, Tyson or the gorilla?
Pass, neither one. I'm just giving you a gorilla. I want to leave Mike Tyson out of it. He's got a big week coming up.
All right. Well, up to 20 horses will be running in the Derby. Our friends from Sports Grid are back with how that could impact the race.
The first Saturday in May means the run for the roses at the Kentucky Derby. I am Ben Stevens, very pleased to be joined by right now from Daily Racing Form. It is David Aragona, a handicapper to get you set for everything you need to know for the 150th Kentucky Derby. David, thank you so much for taking the time to get us ready now that it is race week at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. The Kentucky Derby is an exciting event every year, and this being the 150th renewal, I think there's extra excitement around this year's race.
Certainly so. Get your mint juleps ready, and we'll get you ready for what you need to know about the field. David, it's the largest of the three Triple Crowns, 20 horses in the field. What does the amount of thoroughbreds at Kentucky Derby mean for the structure of how the race plays out?
Yeah, it's definitely the most difficult of the three Triple Crown events to win, with it being 20 horses in the field. So many variables are at play, different traffic situations that can happen. The start with 20 horses across the gate, breaking out, a lot of jostling can occur. So you need a lot of luck in the running of the race. It's a pretty fast event, 2 minutes and it's over. So you need a lot of luck to be successful in the Kentucky Derby, more so than any of the other Triple Crown events.
Many people consider it the fastest or greatest 2 minutes in all of sports. David, the post positions were released this past Saturday, 1 week out from the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. Are there post positions that are more favorable for success at Churchill Downs?
Yeah, I mean, there are different statistics that say one post is better than another. In most years, it's horse specific because certain horses have particular running styles. They like to either be up close to the leader, some like to be further back in the pack early in the race, and certain post positions can be more favorable to those types of trips. I think Fierceness, the likely favorite for the Kentucky Derby, most people were interested to see which post position he would draw because he's a horse that likes to be close to the early leaders in the beginning stages. He drew post 17. That's probably a good post for him because he'll be outside a lot of other horses, can look to his left and see what some others are doing, how he can just cross over into that first turn.
We will look at the favorites in just a moment. Fierceness right now, the current betting favorite, Sierra Leone, draws the second post position with the second best betting odds to win the 150th Kentucky Derby. Again, it's the first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs. David, quickly here, what are we expecting weather-wise on Saturday?
It's been changing over the past few days. It looked like it was going to be a pretty nice sunny day last week. Now the most recent forecast looks like there's the potential chance of rain, so potential for a sloppy track. We'll see. Some horses do better over wet going than others, something to keep an eye on in the coming days.
The 150th Kentucky Derby, David Aragona, we appreciate the breakdown.
Thanks, guys. The Derby brings out everything from hats, fashion, my favorite, juleps, and, oh, of course, the horses. Joining me now from Louisville, Kentucky, John Bull. Hi, John. You've covered the Derby for several years now. What can people expect to see this year?
Story here is it's Derby 150, so everybody's frame of mind is in history. Longest continuously held annual sporting event in the world since 1875, back when average life expectancy was 42 years old and average income was $581. Now we got a bunch of 90-year-olds running around spending $581 in one bet on their telephone in this big, beautiful new paddock. I guess really the marquee event is Churchill just unveiled a week ago their new $200 million paddock, which is state-of-the-art. Looks like something you'd see in Dubai. And so that's the first stop everybody makes. Opening night was this last Saturday night. Everybody barrels in and goes, and just jaw-dropping moment there looking at the new paddock. So a lot of our coverage this week will be centered around there. Other than that, it's crazy town in terms of the prices, ticket prices now. Cheapest seats you can get are like $1,200 way down on the end of the grandstand. I'm not even sure they're still available, but most people paying $16,000 for your average kind of seats. A new model that Churchill moved into kind of post-pandemic is all-inclusive. So when you buy your ticket, it's all you can eat and drink. We noticed last year that tend to result in a rise in the overserved population around Churchill Downs, trying to get their money's worth, I guess.
Now, we've heard from our guys on the favorites and the Longshots. What's your take on the horses?
Here's where there is a monstrous favorite coming in, and it's hard to argue against it. People are trying to find a long shot, but Fierceness comes in, won the Breeders' Cup juvenile last year by 6 lengths. Comes back this year and wins the Florida Derby by 13 lengths. It looked like a Secretariat winning the Triple Crown at the Belmont. It's just jaw-dropping. And he looks good. His workouts have been good. But there's another big-time horse, kind of the opposite kind of a horse. Fierceness is kind of a front runner. Sierra Leone, a $2.3 million purchase, by the way, the most expensive horse in the field, is a big closer.
You mentioned earlier the big money being bet this year. Over the past couple of years, there have been some surprises on which horse crossed the finish line first. Last year, you had Madge and then Rich Strike the year before. How can you prepare for the unexpected?
There was no indicator that horse would ever win, and that horse went on to never win another race. So sometimes it's just your day. You can't get too caught up and you can't take it too seriously. Just let it come to you.
All right, we'll see what happens. John, thanks so much. Stick around. Best bets are next.
All right, it's our final segment of season 2 of Beat the Odds. Let's end in style with best bets. Teddy, let's go.
We got some winners. Let's start with this, all right? The number 2 horse, Sierra Leone, at 3-1. That's the top choice. Just a touch, the number 8 horse at 10-1. Those two would be my top 2 choices. Fierceness, Forever Young, Catching Freedom, Alive. Maybe mix them together if you're looking for trifecta and beyond.
Catching Freedom, Reliance, 4, 20, box them. Don't spit it all in the same place.
What was this? What were you doing?
I was looking at my sheets. Looking at my sheets. These are going to be wheeled. They're going to be boxed. They're going to be trifectas. We put a super in there.
That's a menu. That's not. Those are notes.
I like to go old school and write them down. Those are winners, by the way. 420, I believe. Maybe not. It's a long shot race, but that's who I'm going with.
Mariah, let's end the show with a pearl of wisdom.
Be kind to everyone.
Wear a hat that's thinning.